Connecting.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Nanogangers Anonymous. I am LaurenceCWinston, still tragically nano-pilled and addicted, unfortunately. But it is how it is. With me, I have rejoining as my co-hosts, Natalie Guass and Rex Mikakka. And along with them, we have some fantastic new guests today. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
This is still Redek from Outcast Only.
And this is Kante, also from Outcast Only.
So, Stu and Huey, what kind of fights, fails, and wins have you brought for us today?
So today we brought something that's a little bit not necessarily nano gang, right? It's a little more brawling, but we had a lot of fun theory crafting stuff and fine tuning it. So we have two battle reports. The first one is the fight in Fountain. Huey and I were in Brawling Marauders meant for the ESS. And we actually did have jam support, which is not on that on the battle report there. And then we had a alt for links.
Yeah. So, I mean, like when we usually do these Marauder yeets, like it's essentially like we're there to die, right? Like we're there to like brawl out, have some fun, kill some ships, and then eventually just die. And this time we decided like, I think Redek had a previous fight where they utilized jams really well, I think, and it helped them kill like a few extra Marauders. And we decided we wanted to try it again this time. So like our original setup is usually like two Marauders plus like what two Link shift, right, Reddick?
Yeah, yeah.
And then plus like a Blackbird. And I mean, I'll let I'll let you tell them what happened.
Well, in this case, all right. So in the one in Fountain, I got caught in my alt outside of the outside the ESS, like at a gate, I believe. And rather, I think on that on the sled fit. Let me check first.
It is.
It is right. So I was memeing. If you look at the actual at Ken Opens Sleipnir laws, and you look at the drone bay, you might be so I'd gotten caught by like a malediction, right?
Oh,
Usually you would have something like EC drones or some sort of combat drones. I put webifying drones, much to Huey's protest, mainly as a meme. I wanted to get web drones on some kill mills, just since like the Bessla and the Gary were coming out, and it was kind of like a meme at the time about the webbing drones, and that proved to actually cause a lot of issues, right? Because then I didn't get my Sleipnir in, so we lost links for the actual fight itself, and it was a whole thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then we even lost our jams because Asura was flying jams for us in a Blackbird, and he left the ESS to try to help the Sleipnir pull from the malediction. But then he got caught also. So like when we went into the fight, and like they reformed crazy really fast because like they initially had a gate camp with like what red trees, right? And like
Yeah, they had some
as
small.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
as soon as we landed on the ESS grid, as we slided in, like they already were reshipping to the shacks, and like it just got really difficult because I mean just talk about the fight like if you just see the PRs, see how many Lashaks and Nesters are there, and then like what's not even shown is like how many Guardians they had repping them. Also,
Oh, God.
they had like 4 or 5 Guardians or something, and it's like
I think so.
the crazy is like we were close to breaking them initially because like you have to have that many people repping you, and it's armor, right? So like armors, it takes time to cycle your reps, the remote reps. So there were times where like we could have killed them, but like unfortunately I burned out my missiles. I burned out my launchers halfway through
Oh,
because yeah,
no.
like
oh
yeah,
no, dude.
the amount of repping power was insane on their side, and like we literally just couldn't do anything because like we're missing like I think like what like 3k 3 to 4k EHP a second tank from the initial
Yeah.
links. And we're missing the jam ship, right, to be able to jam out like potential logi. So like we missed out on like two very key things in the fight, and like it completely tilted it, and like we couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it's
Like I
pretty
think
rough.
we ended up killing like a Tempest, I think, Redek
And an
on his
Onyx,
own,
yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, we killed like 2 ships. So not
Yeah.
the best, not the most productive or good fight, but it was still fun. It was eye opening. It sort of got
Yeah.
us back to the drawing board, and fine tune some stuff.
Yeah. Like what we took from that is like first like you gotta put EC drones on your link
No,
ship, right? In order to kill
Dude, it would have been good. I mean,
swear to God, man, like, cause like, so like we had 2 link ships, right? And then his got caught, but his ran the most important ones, which is like the harmonizing and the active shield tanking.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my link ship had 1 info and the other shield just for the extra little buffer, and like, there's actually a lot of things we learned. Like first of all, like I need to have like spare links in my ship in case like one of us dies or whatever. And like we have to have our jams, right? Like it's way too important
Yeah.
to have jams. Like it complete tilt the fight. And like you'll see that in the next VR where we actually made it work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is man. And your Marauders don't have any prop mods either. They're just all tanks. So once you end up in a bad situation like this, there's really not that
Yeah.
much you can do.
Yeah, it's really rare that you
So,
survive the. Like honestly, I started out doing these just for fun. I had seen some videos on YouTube. I forget who made them at this point, but it just looked like a lot of fun. You just go in and brawl out. Sometimes you win, and so I was doing them on my own a bit, and then eventually, Con Paso wanted to join in, and they looked like fun. Huey started doing them with me too, and it's just a good way to kind of burn some ISK. You do live sometimes. We've lived a couple times where the people you're fighting eventually just run out of ships, or they just say good fight and that's it, and you're able to extract. But for these ESS stuff, I don't generally fit a prop mod. Outside is a totally different story, right? I would never fit a Marauder with no MJD or no MWD unless it was for this purpose here.
Yeah, I know. ESS camping has been a tradition, for a lot of people, and the jams are always pretty critical. They're effectively like an extra like 10,000 DPS sometimes if they have Logi, right? So,
Oh yeah,
It's huge.
yeah, they're huge. And not only that, I mean, it breaks up incoming DPS on your Marauder too.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially here with Lashak.
Yeah, it would have
if
been
you
a
can
real
break
nice
spool,
breaking
then-
spool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just appreciate.
I know. Back when I did, not with Marauders, but when I did ESS camping with Corp and stuff, like we used like rooks or like cloaked blackbirds or rooks so that they couldn't see that we brought jams, and it was basic. The fights were basic won or lost based on how long your jams lived.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I mean, like in general, like when you think about ESS responses in nullsec space, like 2 ships come to mind, right? Like the nullsec gangs are either gonna bring Marauders or they're gonna bring recons, right? So like you gotta think of something to be able to beat that, or else you're just gonna get cruised through.
Turns out the solution to Marauders all along has just been bring your own.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Bring your own Marauders,
Counter
dude.
Marauders is Marauders. Like just better build Marauders.
Just
It's-
bring a
it's
nicer
that-
Marauder, yeah.
It's that simple. Like, oh my god.
Yup.
Just bring your own Marauder.
Just have more invulns than the
Exactly.
other guy.
Figures for more tank. You're good.
Yeah. So, how did your second fight go?
Second one went a lot better. We ended up so we didn't only just bring jams this time. I ended up talking to Brain Straw. So Brain wanted to yeet his golem somehow. He said he had a really nice fit golem. He wanted to do something fun and kind of risky and even dumb with it, whether it be warping into an ESS or something. And I said, hey, why don't you come on, like, we'll filament it and just see what happens. Like, no promises that we'll live, but maybe we can get a good fight. Conpasso also wanted to come along, so we talked to him, and we figured it'd be really helpful to have a longer range Marauder in this case, because like right now, Huey wanted to do a shield fit Kronos. I was going to do a Vargur. Brain had his Golem, and all of us were close range brawlers. We were just going to be at the beacon at 0. And then we needed somebody at range to help shoot anything that was going to burn off and towards our gems, which is going to be Asura again and his Scorpion. So in that case, we figured a Paladin would work, something like a I forget what his range was. It was like 200, 100,
Yeah,
180 or
that's
something.
insane, yeah.
Pretty
It's just,
far.
like,
So
full
he
tracking
would burn out,
like
and
SIBO mids.
and it worked really well. Like, we got 2 fights actually, but we're just talking about the second one here with goons. The jams were insane. I can't stress enough how important those jams were. I think if we didn't have jams in that fight, I don't know how much DPS Brain was taking. I didn't get his POV, but I think it was substantial. I know that maybe he could tank all that. It was. I mean, the enemy brought 5 Marauders.
Yeah, or 6, I think.
I think it's 6 Marauders. They had 3 Chronos, 2 Paladin, a Vargur, on top of
I see. 6.
Balagorns. They had Dominixes and some other stuff.
They had a
Battleships.
huge logic wing also that isn't shown on the BR. It was
Mhm.
like 6 or 7 Guardians or something like that.
Yeah, there was quite a few Guardians, and a lot of them burned out of the bubble and warped off. They got away without us killing them, so they don't show up here. But I think without jams, that fight would have been a lot different, a lot more different.
Yeah, and like most importantly, like the main difference is like first like our links were back, right? So like we had our actual tanks, so like each Marauder should have been able to tank everything. And like just to give you like rough numbers, I think Redek you tanked like 14-15k EHP a second.
No, I think I can pull up the pipe really quick, but I think
Yeah,
with
with
links it's like
links,
20 something, like 22
Where's
or
the
something like
heated though,
that.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the Shield Chronos tanked 11k EHP a second with links without heat. So like we could tank a lot, but like that grid is really scary, right? Like except for the Vargur. He had an armor Vargur, which is like it's very suspicious as to why like I guess he wanted reps from his Guardians, but like he fit an armor Vargur, and we were very confused as to why they did that. But yeah, like it was a pretty clean feed, and I mean it's just like everything. It's what happens when everything works very well together, right? Like our strategy was in place. We showed 3 Marauders. We use a reserve key to bait out a fight, a 45-minute reserve key. So like we give them time to form up a fleet also, right? And like when they come in, it's like 3 Marauders on 0, 1 at range, plus a Scorpion. And it's if they bring like significant numbers, we probably just break and die instantly. But like in this case, like we were able to tank it, and we could just slowly but surely clean up the grid. And like the best part was like I was in a shield chrono, so like it's so fun like to see a massive amount of DPS.
Yeah, you just shit out damage.
Yeah, I think my lows were 5 mag stabs and a damage control. Like something yeah, like it's just crazy. Like with the Abyssal mag stabs, like I just chose like min-maxing like the rate of fire and the damage modification, so like it does out max DPS, and it was just so fun. But yeah.
Yeah, this seems insane. And I mean, I watched your guys' video from this fight, and I mean, the newt pressure at the beginning was just almost crippling. I mean, I know your Kronos had a pretty close call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say so.
for that init fight, yeah. So for the fight beforehand, the one we're not really talking about, but kind of, they basically had like 5 or 6 needing Praxi, and I think in the first cycle I was capped out immediately. So like it was a huge struggle because like 4 minutes on a Chronos you can't really do much, right? And like I'd love to put a cap battery on, but like you can't. So it was a huge struggle, and I barely lived in like 20% hull. And I thought it was interesting because going to this goon fight, like I had 20% hull with 0 armor, and they still refused to shoot me first, right? So like I feel like I was the obvious primary, but they still shot Brainstall first, and I mean, I guess that's like.
Wait, you?
Yeah, I was in 20%
So you didn't repair
No,
after the
no,
init fight?
No, we just eat. We
my
just eat it again, man. We just took another filament.
Oh
And
my
did
goodness.
another one, yeah.
That is
So, like,
awesome.
no armor, 20% hull, and they didn't shoot me yet. And I was just like, oh, like okay, that's
Dude.
cool, you know, like I'll take that, so I could just free fire on you guys. But yeah.
I swear the Golem is like the tankiest Marauder too. Like
Yeah, Golem is kind
it should be even if you don't know anything else about the comp, you should surely shoot the Golem last.
Yeah, I always like to primary either armor tank Marauders first, because
Yeah.
what I
the
think are
cycles,
exactly.
right?
It's so easy to catch them off guard, and depending on the pilot, he may not turn on that rep fast enough, and get alpha before
Yeah.
that rep finishes. But luckily they chose somebody else to primary, and we lived to the end of the fight.
Well, I guess the paladin wasn't there. It wasn't like
the
close
paladin
enough
was
to be shot.
super
I know
far.
paladins especially are like super easy.
Yeah,
to kill
paladin was far
because-
out. He was like 100 and some odd, 150 off the beacon. So the biggest, and I did want to touch on one thing. Like one of the biggest weaknesses I would say of just any marauder, right? That's active fit like this is cap boosters. It's running out of cap sticks. So one thing we did do that I don't know if you will notice in the video is we load up our alts with cap sticks. So the Lynx ships, and Huey usually brings a Gnosis that's full of cap sticks as well. But we'll go in ahead of time and launch, we'll jet can the cap sticks and keep them out at like 30 or 40 or like 30 some odd kilometers away from our marauders. And whoever needs, usually one of us will have a tractor beam. So if somebody needs cap sticks, they can pull to the other person and loot them and top up. Because I mean, for sure Huey was like out after the first fight, right? When you had a lot of new pressure, I think you ate
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
almost all your
literally just
sticks.
crunchy through it.
Yeah. And even in this fight here, Brain, he ran out to like 1 or 2 sticks before the fight was, I think, even halfway done. So it really is important to just have some sort of way to drop yourself some boosters mid-fight.
I think
Yeah, I thought that was super cool the way you guys were tractor beaming in the six. That was pretty creative.
yeah. Well, like I tried getting my Gnosis in, I think halfway through the fight, but like they had it bubbled on the outside, and like it's an all, so I don't really look at it, right? So like it just died randomly, and I was like, oh wow, like hey guys, my cap boosters are gone, so like good luck. Yeah.
Damn. Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask if you guys had the link slip in this fight as well with the claymore, or if you just had the claymore as the link ship.
We did double claymore actually. So after a little bit, I looked at the fit,
two
yeah,
claymores.
and I think the claymore is just better overall.
Yeah, more
Or-
longer range.
The tank is insane. I mean, because what I do on both the fits, so I mean, you can see the slep fit, right? It's just a 100 mn. I think it's flux coils in the lows for cap stability, and I usually fit like a pith booster or something, or I think I was doing like some sort of shield booster. Anyway, it's cap stable. I think that fit the Sleipnir was like 1,000 EHP a second or something, and the Claymore you get like way longer links, way longer range links, so you can sit a bit further out, as well as
Mhm.
I think it was double the tank, like double the EHP per second. And we were just those abyssals on the Claymores are not nice. They're just like bricked, dead space rolls that we just had sitting around. So we just threw those on there, and they were just extremely, extremely tanky.
Have you considered using MGDs on your Link Claymore?
You mean to like?
I know previously I remember this is not for this kind of thing, but I remember I used to use like 100 MN MGD Gnosis, and I would give a cycle of links, burn out, and I would MGD back in, like, because you can MGD actually into the basically into the center, and then link cycle again. So even like a throwaway ship can get a second cycle of links in.
It's actually a really good idea. I might have to take a look at that and test it out sometime. It's rare that they primary the links for whatever reason. I have had them sometimes try to, but for the most part, I don't know when Huey's Claymore died.
just died.
It looks like he died once
ton
the
of
Dommy
videos.
slid in.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah, to all the curators. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have definitely helped there. Mine actually survived somehow. I don't think they ended up bothering shooting mine. But it does really suck when that does happen, right? When you've got your links and they're smart, and the first thing they do is they just pop your Claymore, and now you've got no links for the rest of the fight anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll look and see if I can fit that on there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It sounds like
Yeah, the MJD play.
All right,
Yeah, this is interesting because-
this is actually such an epic VR. Like, holy fuck!
I feel like Marauders are one of those ships that it's really hard to see or like estimate the capabilities, right? Because they already have like high resists, and they have a bunch of slots, and they have a bunch of bonuses. So once you start stacking like really nice modules on them, like you could have a Varger tank 2,000 DPS or 20,000. So I think like like capitalizing on that kind of overconfidence by like, I guess goons in this situation, or like it's really hard for them to estimate the tank of your ships and stuff. So you end up getting like a bunch of stuff sliding into you, and it's pretty interesting. I feel like Marauders are one of the ships that does that better.
I also really like the Chad move of the Shield Kronos. I've known a couple of people like who've flown Shield Kronos in Corp, but they've always kind of, taken a much safer route. Whereas just like straight hard brawling in it is like, that's pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need prop
It's
mods in
something
the new
that
zones.
yeah,
So
dude,
you free up a
it's
lot of
all
mid
you got all
slots.
the mids you ever need.
And like, since I run it with other people, I don't have to run the grappler on my own. So like, I have like Brain and Redek running the grapple for me, and like, it's just easy, right? You just press F1, and you just keep
Yeah, dude.
clapping them.
400,
Yeah,
almost
yeah. I mean, in this
420k
situation,
damaged out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The Shield Chronos is so awesome. I mean, even though it, all its or all its bonuses skew towards armor, you can get a really, really healthy shield tank out of it. And the shield buffer is actually pretty similar to the armor buffer. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
great ship.
it's just armor marauders are just so iffy because the cycle time of the reps and the amount of buffer you have, like even if you're single plated, it still can be slightly dangerous if you just get alpha through before your reps can land. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah,
armor marauders because of that.
I remember when Marauders first got buffed, it was really easy to kill. I remember there was a lot of times where we'd kill paladins with like very little DPS,
Yeah,
like way less DPS than the reps should indicate they could tank. And it's like, oh, what's going on? We just realized, oh, it's just like we just like have them half in hull each time they cycle their rep. It's just so slow. I think like 12 whole seconds or
yeah,
something.
it's
Oh.
really bad on armor marauders, and it just doesn't work because like when you deal with a lot of DPS, like you just like you can randomly get alpha. Like it's happened before when we ran armor paladin for the White Storm event, we ran some armor marauders, and I just got alpha through. Like I couldn't rep. I
Yeah.
might as well be polarized at that point.
I think it depends. In this case, I would say the shield is much stronger when you're dealing with large amounts of DPS that you can tank if you're prepared already, right? But when stuff hot switches onto you, that's when, in my opinion, shield really shines because you can get swapped to and you just immediately hit your repper and you're good. Whereas with armor, you kind of have to kind of see that coming and plan on that DPS hitting you, so you've got that repper already cycling, or keep if you're dual rep or something, keep one repper running. I don't know, but I've run into the same issue with armor rep stuff. I do enjoy them, but it's rough to do when you're expecting to attempt to tank like 15k incoming.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let us move on then. How about country? Would you like to enlighten us with your BR?
Yeah, sure. So this BR is actually just from earlier today. I was originally planning on doing a different BR, but
Natalie, that is.
yeah, sorry. I forgot to press my push to talk. I'm clearly a professional at this. So yeah, this BR is from earlier today. We went out. Well, originally it was just Pasty and his Maracuga buddy going out in, I believe it was a Loki and a Vagabond. They found recently we moved into Turner, or the Turner region, as you guys might know. And so if you probe the wormholes, you can get all sorts of connects. In this case, they got a connect which was like, I believe 3 jumps away from 1 DQ, so smack in the middle of Delve. And so they were roaming. I hopped on, saw them. I hopped on, and so at first I was just boating myself over to Turner since I burned my jump clone already, and just listening to them on comms. Before I got there, they had caught a Vider and some random frigates, but they noticed a Abyssal Trace that they were attempting to combat probe for a while, but because of some issues with probe scanner filters, they were unable to combat probe it. But then somehow they found a Typhoon AFK on a gate, which that was interesting. They killed that, and then they killed a couple other Ospreys and whatnot, but eventually Rex and I caught up to them. Rex was in a crow. I was in a rail Hecate, which was the first thing I pulled out of Cheetah. They accidentally died to some Lokis, but after that we managed to tackle.
Accidentally.
Well, yeah, I can't believe they didn't purposely feed. But yeah, we tackled a Rourke. I think it was Rex that tackled it initially, just like an ice Anom. And we just held it for a while. Fat phoned some, like, asked if Deepwater wanted to help, and they were kind of nervous about it just because, we were like a couple jumps, like 2 jumps out of 1 DQ, if that. So we poked a couple of the tackle ships that came in. Ears Confessor got volleyed by Vargur because Vargurs are balanced ships. And then Deepwater did end up coming in like some sabers, but I guess they decided, since there was already quite a blob at that point with the Rourke, they decided not to try to engage it, and the Rourke got off. But after the Rourke ended up getting off, and some of their fleet warped off, we actually got a pretty nice nano fight. So they brought Munins, Thoraxes, and Ospreys, and just kind of old-fashioned. They burn into us, and we burn away, and Rex green stuff, tackled stuff, and we just plinked away at them. The Royal Hecate, I don't know if it's a good ship. It just feels like the Jackdaw does so much better than the Hecate does, but it did end up doing pretty good work. It did I believe 30k damage in that fight, which I'm pretty happy with. And eventually, they just left because we pretty much cleaned up all their ships. They chased us a little bit into the next system over. We killed some of their tackle, and then I think it was Pasty, on his ult, saw that they were coming over in a 70-man flycatcher fleet. So at that point we decided, probably time to go. So we went back to the turner hole and docked up before, we got 70 flycatchers in our face.
Yeah, this was a fun fight. Crow is a good ship. Got buffed recently. And Goons have really been bringing some pretty good fights. This is the second or third fight I've had recently against Goons, and they seem like a little less extreme than other groups in the responses that they bring. Or maybe they have some more people that are more interested in a similar PvP style that we are in, so there's a lot of nano cruisers or kind of ships similar to the ones that we're fighting. So yeah, these Delve is a one of my go-to places right now for sure.
Like they did bring a Vargur, but after a little bit the Vargur left and everyone else stuck behind, which was pretty nice. That was how we managed to kick the fight off. If the Vargur had stayed there was no chance we could have done anything. We were in like Vedmak. I think Pasty ended up reshipping with a Loki. Again, we had the Ear was in a Wolf. I was in the Rail Hecate, and Rex was in his fancy Crow, which unfortunately died earlier today, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, for our gang, they brought like a relatively like not do cancer response once the Vargur left. So yeah, Delve, like Rex said, seems to be pretty nice for roaming now.
Yeah, I never thought I'd hear those words. Like, Delve, good for roaming. Like, oh. The times we live in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bringing one Vargur is now a sign of a place being a very engageable,
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
just one Vargur.
Yeah. No, this was fun though.
It looks like a really fun fight. I like the BR.
Yeah. I kind of want to get into
Hacking
more
works.
like nano stuff again, like true nano, like MWD ships, Like it's just fun. Being able to turn
not
on
been the
being
same.
able to turn your ship is amazing.
Yeah, be able to move.
100 MNs are
Yeah, I
fucking
mean, you
bricks.
sacrifice a lot.
I've been on a 100 MN kick for a while. I keep on dragging Huey with me to 100 MN stuff. He likes doing, regular nano shit too, like MWD stuff, but I'm such a 100 MN enjoyer.
Dude, 100 minutes is pretty good though.
Yeah. I mean, like, how else do you fight Marauders also, right? In nullsec, like, if you're 50 MN, you're getting clapped.
That's true. It's
It
very
is hard to
true.
hold grid, yeah.
I don't think I've ever flown a 100 MN ship, so
Really?
maybe I'll come with.
Oh
you
yeah,
guys
you gotta
sometime.
come, dude. Have a fun time.
Okay, yeah, I just trained into a Loki.
Do you like having a 25-second align time? And
Dude, all these Loki pilots, man, I swear.
they're
Loki-
strong.
It's a good
They're
ship,
strong.
dude.
They're so strong, man.
Ugh.
Actually,
Asar made me train into one
Yeah,
for a
same.
fleet
That's
doctor.
why I have
That's-
Loki
that's-
skills right
that's
now
it.
because
Yeah, yeah,
I flew it once and then we changed our doctor into Nighthawks.
I
I didn't even train it. I
yeah,
injected it.
same.
and then
I
flew it
injected the
once.
subsystems
Oh,
like 4
no.
or something, and then at least the subsystems are
Definitely.
fairly cheap. It's not the worst thing to inject into.
I think I injected him to 5, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty sad.
that's what feels bad, dude.
Yeah, I think it's a
Well,
good
Loki-
thing to have a
Loki-
5, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It actually feels like it's one of the few things that actually feels like it could take on like a marauder, basically.
I mean, back then, you randomly would lose a subsystem skill when you died in a T3, which sucked.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. That's
that was so sad. But yeah,
I think that was a really good change they did.
yeah, it sucked losing like 200k SP just because you died. Like you already
250K,
lost your
I
shit,
think,
man.
yeah,
That
it
should
was-
be enough already. But yeah,
It's a 3-bill Loki, and then you have to train on
yeah,
top of
it's
that.
like goddamn, I gotta waste a week.
It was kind of a cool feature to make them less accessible as like a block doctrine, though.
I think back when the average EHP of a T3 was like in the hundreds of thousands, it was warranted. But nowadays, I think it's good that you no longer lose SP for it.
You know what you should lose SP is Marauders.
Yes, you should lose Marauder 5. Oh my god, dude. That's the nerf we need, dude.
That'd be huge, man. I can't imagine. I'd feel
Yeah,
bad
you
for
should
like
just-
crabbers too, though. You know, not even guys who pull out Marauders for PvP, but you get caught crabbing or something.
That's
Now
true,
suddenly,
yeah.
yeah, that'd be rough.
It would be. Oh yeah,
I'd love it.
it definitely would be. I think that's like it's like a couple mil SP for Marauder 5, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's a long
Probably,
train.
yeah. It's
That's
a
probably
pretty
a
long
mil.
train. Yeah.
It's a long train.
Anyways, let us continue. So usually we would have 2 BRs per host. But given that we have 2 guests this time, and the last podcast episode went on for a little bit. Actually, guys might not know if you did listen to it, but it used to be like 30 times long, not 30 times, 30% longer. We had to cut out a lot even to just keep it to an hour. So this time we're only going to be doing 1 BR per guest. So Rex, what do you have for us today?
Oh boy, I
Oh,
have
boy,
quite the.
actually,
I have. Oh man, how did I even start this? I have a feed BR for us
Oh,
today.
no.
And this was from last night. Was it last night? It was last night. So as Natalie previously mentioned, we live in the Turner area right now. And we live in Turner because it is both a faction warfare system, so there's low-sec PvP, and there's null-sec statics, so we can go fight in null-sec, and we can get all the content we want. And in low-sec, there's a lot of cool Tech 1 cruiser fights that are kind of relieving, coming from null-sec, which is dominated by all these T2 ships, recons, marauders, etc. And it's pretty cool to be able to fight in, an Omen or an Omen Navy issue and actually, get good fights. And it is very sad when these low-sec fights are ruined by one person deciding to bring a Vargur or a Paladin to a fight of like 10 T1 cruisers versus 10 T1 cruisers. Those people are losers, and they need their ship blown up. So me and Lawrence talked a little bit about how we should go about dispatching these oppressive marauders. And we decided that it would be pretty cool if we could kill them with a means other than more marauders. And we settled on the polarized Raven, polarized torpedo Raven. And the polarized torpedo Raven, if you just fit one up in Python and put some ballistic control systems on it, does about 2,000 DPS. But there's a effect you can take advantage of an Eve, I guess, called the Doppler effect. And this is basically where if you are in any missile ship and you are firing missiles at your target while you are approaching it, you're going to do more than your advertised PIFA DPS until you stop approaching your target ship. And the faster you approach your target ship, the more your DPS is going to increase, basically. And the fastest way you can approach your target ship is by teleporting to it. So these are not normal polarized torpedo ravens. They are maximum range fit Hydra torpedo ravens. Hydras are pirate implants that increase your missile range. So these ravens shoot to over 100 kilometers with rage torpedoes. And the premise of flying them is that we will warp two polarized torpedo ravens to 100 kilometers from the marauder that we want to kill. We will shoot at it for about 21 seconds, which is the flight time of a torpedo from one of these ravens, and then we will MJD to 0 on this marauder. Keep in mind, these ravens have about 30 to 40,000 HP, so they're very easy to die quickly in. But when these ravens MJD to 0, since their missiles that they shot before they MJD'd are still in the air, their damage doubles for the flight time of that torpedo, about 21 seconds. So for 21 seconds, two polarized torpedo ravens will do around 9,000 DPS. So this was our plan. We got our ravens together, we got our hydropods, and we put them in Turner, and they sat there. Skip forward about a week, and we decide to go out in nullsec, and we're just going to go do some nullsec nano PvP. And like any nano groups doing that, what we usually do is we get a doorbell on an alt, a ship that can slide into an ESS, and ping it. We go find a system with money in the ESS, we ping it, we fight people on the outside of the ESS in normal nano ships. And let's see, where did we go? Do you remember what region we were in, Lawrence?
Oh, we were in init space.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, no, what am I saying? We're in horde space, not in init, horde space.
Yeah, we were in horde, but we weren't close to like horde staging. We were in some random horde space.
No,
and...
we weren't technically close, but we were like within like 2 jump bridge, like 2 X plus 4 jumps, so we weren't that far.
Okay, that's fair. So me, Lawrence, and one other person, we are... Yeah, awesome. We are in a Vedmak, a Cerberus, and a Slicer. And we go try to do our PvP, and we ring the doorbell, and a Vargur shows up. Pretty common experience. But it's just a Vargur. I think there was one other cruiser that briefly showed up, but mainly it was just the Vargur. And we tried to hold the Vargur. We tried to shoot it as much as we can. We kept getting forced off. Obviously, we do not have the equipment to kill that on grid. But our Turner wormhole that we went through was 1 jump away. So late night decisions, maybe not good late night decisions. Me and Lawrence decide to go grab our polarized Hydra Ravens. And we jump in them, and we leave the Vargur. We go back to the hole, we get our Ravens, we come back, the Vargur's gone. We already stole the ESS money from that system. We ring the ESS again with no money in it. Nobody comes, go figure. And we go a couple systems over to a system that had ESS money in it. And as we are bringing our Ravens behind us, a couple jumps behind our alts that are actually ringing the doorbell, we run into a few Vexers, a few cruisers. There was like a Cerberus and like 3 Vexers. And we are in ships that do 2,000 DPS. So we just jump in and we think, okay, well, we can just kill these 4 cruisers. That did not happen. We were not able to kill the cruisers because we could not apply to them at all. Lawrence lost his Raven almost immediately. By the time I jumped my Raven in, I was like 1 jump behind him. He was going down. I MJD my Raven and was able to get it to a safe. And then been in this situation a million times of just bouncing around safes, getting combat probed, and I'm making safes with my alt and warping to different ones when they start to hone in on me with the probes. And then I just tabbed off of my main and just kind of forgot about it for maybe like 30 seconds too long. And I got combat probed and my Raven got caught. Now, this is a pretty cheap Raven. I did have some shiny BCSs on it, but it was very cheap compared to my pod, and I know that Dictors were coming. So I made the decision to eject from my Raven and warp off my pod to another save, and basically gave them a free Raven. It did not die. It's not on Zkill. They have my Polarized Raven. And so I am warping around in this frigate that I threw in last minute to my frigate escape bay. It was a Vigil. It's just something I had laying around. I thought surely I would not die and I would not need it. And I am just bouncing around to safes, and I end up warping back to the same safe that my Raven had been combat probed at, and I fed my Hydras to. So that is my story. Very bad execution. The Ravens were not even meant to be out in nullsec. We did not have any support with us, just us and our alts and the one friend in the Navy Slicer. So, yeah, I don't know. Really, really bad execution. I don't know if we're gonna try it again. I have to decide if I want to buy another set of Hydras. So maybe I can buy my Raven back from Horde.
That'd be really funny. I will say, whole idea of the Doppler torp strategy to kill a Marauder was initially me trying to brew up an idea of how to solo kill a Marauder very quickly, and it started with using a Doppler Golem with a Boucher, so I did some testing on Sissy, and I could basically one shot it's trivially easy to basically one shot any reasonably fit Marauder. You can for a short period of time get up to greater than 10k DPS, with 20k volley, 24k volleys. So it seemed pretty sound, but I was like, this is kind of an expensive pod and an expensive ship. Maybe I'll try with the Raven first as a test run, see how close I can get with just the Raven instead of a Golem, which is 10 times more expensive. So I posited the idea, and Rex liked it, and we decided, let's just put it together and see if it worked. We definitely put the wrong tool in the very wrong space. I also spaghettied pretty hard. I had several different tools to survive the cruisers initially, and just didn't use any of them. I had EC drones in my drone bay, didn't use those. I had the SIG suppressor to mitigate some damage, didn't use that. I had an MJD, didn't use that either. So it was a pretty. I think it was just a situation where I knew this was what I was doing was something that was insanely stupid. I just didn't stop myself from doing that stupid thing, even though I realized it was stupid.
That I find myself I find myself in that situation a lot.
I actually find it surprising that none of the other cruisers died. I mean, I know you guys are, you're torp fit. You don't have application rigs, I assume. But I see you did have MGCs.
I got 2 Vexers the hull. They pulled out of range. I got the Serve the hull, and then he killed me.
That's rough.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the Serb was in there's 3 cruisers in the low hull, but we didn't I don't even know if my Stiletto was in system, or I don't know.
So I didn't have any tackle, which is the problem, right? So
we know all about that.
I just shot things the hull, and then they just left.
They're like, wait, I'm dying.
Except for the except for the serve. The serve, I got the hull and I died like one molly before killing him. But yeah, you definitely need like to be tackling with something else. But how this started was we were just warping back towards Turner, maybe checking out an ESS along the way. And our slicer buddy scouted the Vexers, like kind of I saw the Vexers on D-scan, and I think the slicer was tackling, maybe. But honestly, we just shouldn't have like we just didn't have tackle. You know, my carries didn't have any tackle. Like our Rex's stiletto wasn't there, and our slicer couldn't hold tackle, so. There was just not like they could all just warp off until that's what they did. So there was just like there was really no excuse for any of this. We just fucked up.
Yeah. The funny thing is that we totally could have MJD'd too because we have 100-kilometer range. Like instead we chose to brawl things in Hydra max range Ravens. So
yeah, I did get scrammed by the Serb, which I didn't expect the Serb to have a scram. But, I mean, I should have just done it anyways. Like, there's no reason for me to be there. So, unfortunate. What could you do? Other than, everything?
Have you guys considered going into an ESS with that concept? And, like on the, like, whoever pings it just fits, like, dual webs or something? And, like, I think it might be able to frag cruisers and under with that, with better application.
You can.
Yeah, I think if we had like a Hugin or something, we could just
hide the Hugin because
I don't know.
And then you just show one Raven basically, right? And they think it's a brawling Raven, and you have a Raven out at 100 just firing torps.
Yeah, that's kind of something similar to what U Millennium was originally doing with the polarized Barghest.
You could
he
probably
farmed.
do it. But again, the original reason why I fed up this Raven was as like a limit test for the Golem, and the Golem I couldn't put in the ESS because I need to boosh it because you lose so much damage by not bashing it during the time when you're MGDing that I wanted to I just wanted to use like the boosh instead of dropping Bastion. So for the Golem I just MJD'd because it's like you don't bash it anyway, so it's not like you're losing that much.
Mm-hmm. The Raven, yeah. You have a local MGD,
but you can definitely tweak like the Doppler strat to work with other setups. I know when I first was experimenting with it was actually with bombers and Corp. We were trying to see like how many bombers we needed to Doppler in to kill a Marauder because this was back when we were the Marauders weren't like refined and blobby enough that you could still kind of fight them with random crap. So we're just like, what if we just got 6 bombers and we Dopplered in? It's like, how easy would it be to just smash a Marauder before I can react?
Seems like a cool ass concept.
Yeah,
I like the concept. I really like that. I do hope you guys do attempt it again. I know those didn't go too well, but I would like to see whether it's the Raven or the Golem. I'll keep an eye on your kill board, man. I want to see it. Yeah, I want to see it. That's really cool.
Make him not tank, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, when it's executed properly.
I know when I did the test with the Golem on Sissy, I could kill everything other than a triple A type preheated tanked Varger.
And more than that too. I mean, being able to kill him is awesome, and just the fact of doing it is great. But I also want to know doing it solo, right? Just having your one Golem, or I guess in this case you guys were planning on having 2 Ravens, right? Even then, just having the 2 Ravens or 1 Golem or 2 Golems, I want to know what goes through that victim pilot's mind when 1 or 2 Golems absolutely shred him when they get that much DPS. Because I wouldn't have understood those mechanics. I wouldn't have guessed it if that happened to me, right? If some Golem was out at range, starts shooting at me, MJD's on top of me, and then I suddenly melt, I would be so confused as to why a single Golem wrecked me that quickly. So it'd be really, really funny to be on the other side of those comms and or just hear what's going through that guy's mind when you guys do finally succeed in the alphaing a marauder with the Doppler tech.
Yeah, I don't know if it would actually happen. It would take a lot of things to go correctly, but we'll see. Well, I'll definitely give it another shot. I don't know if Rex wants to.
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like
you still have your
this
hydras.
happens. I feel like I feel kind of bad. I feel like sometimes I'll like posit a sort of, people would argue is a somewhat risky idea, and I feel like I sometimes bait people into like trying it with me.
I mean,
it's better to fail
Yeah.
and have a good story than not try
it's
it.
also just having fun, right? Like, who cares what the results
Yeah.
are? Because like, there's times like we just take we took polarized TIE fights one time into horde space. Like,
Yeah, just for fun.
and we
I mean,
alphaed off of Kronos, and it was hilarious. But like, we fed like each TIE fight was like what, like a bill each, Redek?
yeah.
And like that's not even including
No.
abyssals. And like they're all polarized, so they die immediately under marauders. But like we alphaed our Kronos, and it was like the best marauder kill I've
Yeah, I was
had,
happy.
you know?
We lost the Iscore, but man, I had a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
like it was so hype in that 1 minute. Like even before that, like I think Redek alphaed an Oracle off grid, and it's just like it's so satisfying. Like who cares about ISK sometimes, you know? It's like it's just having fun.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I love flying polarized ships, man.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're so fun.
It either goes really, really well or it goes really horribly. Like all the
Yeah,
polarized
yeah,
stuff I've
for
done,
sure.
I've either had a great, awesome fight, we've killed some cool stuff, or you kill nothing and you just get popped immediately, and or you engage the wrong stuff. Like in this case, right? I've had the same thing happen. We were in, I forget, polarized Brutixes or something, and
Yeah.
we got caught by a bunch of small shit that was faster than us. It was horrible. Felt bad, but
We almost killed stuff, but like, you know,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
have scrams or points. You know how they just warp off? Like
Yeah,
it's
exactly the
it's
same thing
the
happened.
age-old problem of them just warping off and leaving
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, I remember like, oh man, I remember I used to do a lot of like kind of ESS cheese comps with like polarized like neck navies or like gnosuses or like thoraxes, and like one day like I went out when I actually took Rex and Country. I think you guys were both there in like polarized Nogs, and we happened to run into a bunch of Sleipnirs, which like easily tanked us because they had T2 Minotaur resist. And I was like, oh my goodness, how was it that they happened to have Sleipnirs? Like what?
Yeah,
Who uses Sleipnirs?
that's so true. Yeah. It's just funny concepts, right? Just having a good time with the people you fly with. Like whatever goes right or wrong, it's hilarious. Like when me and Redek were like, yo, like we're almost about to kill this Redeemer. Hell yeah! Wait, he just warped off? Like what the
yeah,
fuck?
that's right. That's right. You can do that.
Yeah, he's like, dude, he's allowed. He's allowed.
That's
on
not
game.
fair.
Like, come on, dude. It's just so funny. It's literally like a shit show, but it's so funny when you're like in the midst of it, and like when you think about it after, it's just troll.
Oh yeah.
Man, all right, I'm buying another Raven. I'm buying more hydras. You convinced me.
Oh
Do
no.
it, dude. Do it, dude. Hell yeah.
All right, this is. Don't forget the escape frigate this time, Rex.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. So, so I like right before we left, I was like, dude, I don't know if I'll apply fully to a Varder, and I like pie-foot it. I was like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna. So I was like, I need a target painter, and Laurence just gave me a vigil, and he was like, just take one off of this. So I just took one off of it and then put it in my escape bay because I didn't even have one. I didn't even have another frigate, and then I just. Yeah, it was like the worst. Like I would have lived if I had like a normal succubus or something. Sad.
Sad.
It'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that.
All right, so moving on. I am not presenting a standard BR today, but kind of a idea, if you will, that one of my court mates has been exploring. So, and a country actually made a much nicer link than I'll relink, but this is basically my court mate Callum Darklight's Vigil adventures. Not Vigil Fleet issue, but Vigil adventures. So a couple of days ago, he got the idea to start soloing in a Vigil. And I think this was like precedented by kind of a frustrating series of experiences from Kellon where people would just be running away from him despite outnumbering, outshipping, and like, just having a fight that they should absolutely never lose. So he decided to try and bring what essentially is like the most engageable ship ever, almost at least, which is the Vigil. It is TD, AB, Scramweb, Rocket Fit. It does a whopping 80 DPS.
Massive.
And he's actually, at the start of the podcast, I think he was at like 40 something. Now he's actually just gotten some kills. He's at 50 kills with the Vigil now. And it's actually just glorious. Like, he's like soloed a Daredevil in it. He's like soloed like multiple Navy destroyers. Like, is a sight to behold.
This is actually insane. I'm looking at some of these kills,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at, obviously,
How
Thrasher
does he have a
fleets.
Catalyst Navy?
There's some
dude? Like, what the hell?
did he? Yeah, there's some crazy stuff.
Like, Thrasher fleets are so strong, and he's dunking on it. Keelan is like a god with theory crafting also, man. Like, he is something. He's great.
Yeah.
He's also just very motivated. Like, he will fly 100 or 200 of the same fit in the same frigate.
Oh,
I admire that a lot.
Yeah, one of our friends, Reich, has been trying to use Kellon's Hurricane in Nullsec, but he does not quite have the same patience. He gets frustrated really quickly.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of an experience gap if you want to just copy Kellon's strategy. And it's funny, there are actually copycats now. There's people who fly his exact Vigil Flit in Losec now, inspired by him. It's pretty funny. I think there's been 2 copycats so far, I think. And I think they both got some kills, actually. Because some of you guys might be more familiar with the idea of fitting like the combat Heron, which is just the objectively far superior version of the combat Vigil, basically, because it like does double the DPS and has otherwise essentially the same stats. But this is all sort of in the I guess pursuit of engageability to like the maximum, like if you don't fight a Vigil, like what could you possibly be looking to fight?
Yeah, Vigils don't look scary at all. Like, Vigil fleets are strong. Like, I flew them, and they are strong. But like Vigils, like in a Thrasher fleet, like I think like 100 out of 100 times I'd say like, oh yeah, the Thrasher fleet just fucking dunks on him, right? Like, that's such an easy kill. But then you see him like soloing Thrasher fleets, soloing like
Coercers.
Catalyst navies. Like, it's wild what's going on here. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure how he solos like the 10MN Catalyst navies. Because I know for like a 5MN ship, you can kind of just hard control it, right? If, I imagine maybe the, yeah, it looks like some of these Thrashers, I'm just pulling up random Thrashers, it looks like they didn't reload to Barrage, so he just like TDs them down and very slowly grinds them to death. But, I feel like the 10MN Cata Navy should actually have control, like if they're Scram Web as well. Like, I don't really understand how he managed to kill them, but it's pretty. If anyone can do it, I bet it's Kellon.
I just threw it into Python really quickly. The Vigil is kind of surprisingly quick for being a Vigil, I guess.
Yes.
The Catalyst Navy because the Vigil, it's not dual web, it's only single web, but that web brings it down to 700 meters per second, and Kellon's Vigil is going 1300. So theoretically, with tracking, speed, disruption script, he could somewhat mitigate the Cat Navy's guns and then just outtrade the Catalyst Navy by mitigating damage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe it still has enough range
Yeah.
control. That is like the one advantage the Vigil has over the Heron. It is a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Or not a little bit. It is significantly faster.
Initially, when I was looking at it, I thought it seemed more like the hookbill that people fly in low sec, where normally it's dual web and then tracking disruptor. In this case, it's only single web. But basically, having that dual web gives you range control over everything. And then with the TD, if you pick it correctly, you can either get under people's guns or you can keep it ranged, like you mentioned earlier. And so it's a very, very strong ship in a 1v1. The TD, it's not commonly seen, but it's a very strong module for Frig 1v1s, just because the range of things is so short, and whenever things AD, it can be hard to track as well if you get under the guns.
Yeah, I love TD frigates. I like to fly TD kite frigates, but sometimes the TD ends up saving me. If I get scrammed, a lot of times I can still range TD like something with blasters and end up out trading it. So yeah, this is very impressive.
Yeah, I've had a lot of success. We kind of previously talked about it, but like just flying like 4 or 5 mid frigates and just using a TD for one of the slots, and it works a lot better than you would think. Like there's just how do I explain it? It's like just because the TD allows you to it's just always effective essentially, right? I mean obviously it's not effective against missiles, but whether kiting or brawling, like you're always going to be able to get value out of it. I do wonder how long, I do wonder how long it'll take for the general, people in low sec to start catching on. I imagine, I think already, I've heard Calon complain a few times about people running from his Vigil now.
Wait, really?
Which is such a funny thing to think about. Imagine living in fear of the common Vigil. Like, oh my goodness.
And that Tusker's ticker is dangerous.
Yeah, dude, the Vigil sliding into a novice plex near you.
I want to get back more into factional warfare also. Like, it seems like there's so much content just around there. Like, even in battlefields, like, I have fun in a Prophecy Navy, just like a beam prof and just like shooting people with microwave 90 out at seagulls. Oh man, it is so entertaining for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just blasting them.
Yeah.
LowSec is really good for like light content, like when you don't want to fight a bunch of vargers and like juice up try like slowly juice up a fight. It looks like it's just like it's like going to McDonald's,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe it's not the highest quality, like most like epic VR ever, but dude, sometimes you just want some McDonald's, man. Like,
yeah, I was talking to a wormholer who was complaining about how the quality of fights in low sec is bad. I was like, yeah, it's like fast food, the quality is bad, but it's low effort, and it's quick, and it's still pretty good sometimes, You don't always need the whole
was
restaurant
this a
experience.
VOO?
This was
a
VOO, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I knew it.
Hey, you gotta give him credit. He did roam low sec with us the other day, so.
Yeah.
That's true. He was there.
The Abaddons also.
There's some pretty.
No, that wasn't. That was. Oh no, it was. It was.
Fighting Urshikan proper can be pretty similar to a nullsec fight. It just doesn't always happen. So, and there's also like annoying things that just don't happen in nullsec, like a Proteus being always on top of you when you get tackled, and all other stuff.
Yeah, I did notice like when I came back to lowsec, it was actually like I was just wondering, it's like, wow, why are people constantly ejecting out of their ships after I like get them tackled? And it's just like, oh, this kind of just feels weird, like I'm still blowing up their ships, it's not worth anything. It's like, so why are they doing it? And then like it was later after I was in lowsec for a few weeks, I realized, oh, it's because they're afraid I'm gonna hold them and bring a Proteus to smart off their pod.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's common enough that it's like a common, no, well, not common, but it's a not uncommon
Yeah, I
like
think it's common. I don't know.
practice to
I
just
see smart bombers all the
eject
time.
once you know you've lost the fight.
Yeah, I guess all that has to happen
Yeah.
is you have it happen once or twice, right? And then lose your whatever your high grade pod with 5% or whatever it is. And I'm sure people get a little nervous about it happening again, so try and mitigate that risk.
I also think it's just because pods are like otherwise so safe in low sec that I find most people are flying like expensive pods but cheap ships. So like it's very rare that I kill a ship and I see abyssals or like some and like a bunch of bling on it. So I think it's just like that's sort of just like a mental calculus, right? It's like the ejecting basically means you forfeit the fight. But if you're essentially gonna lose the fight anyways, it's very rare that your opponent does something stupid like burning out their guns or tackle, and then you win an otherwise unwinnable fight. So I guess it's like, if my ship is only like 20 mil, I might as well eject and make sure on the small chance they're bringing in a smart bomber, I don't lose my pod.
Yeah. It is like kind of infuriating when you're in low sec and you kill like that stiletto that was going like 12k a second, and then you get like a 30 mil kill mil, and you're like, man, that was so hard.
Yeah, I like it though, honestly. It is feels a little bit weird because it's sometimes really hard to tell how strong a ship is gonna be. I feel like in nullsec, if I see like an Orthrus, okay, no, that's a bad example. Orthruses are always blinged, but if I see like I don't know, what's a good example? If I
Like a
see like
Vedmak or something, maybe.
yeah, or a Vedmak or a Loki or something like something T2 in null, and it's not like a block like doctrine like ship. I generally expect it to be blink, because kind of why not, sort of, I guess. But I expect all of like a certain kind of ship to be fit the same way. I expect every Vedmak to be fit a certain way, every Loki, every Orthrus, to be fit a certain way. But in Losec, it's kind of weird because I don't really know the power level of a ship just by looking at it very well. Because it's it could be clean pod, it could be like Assclap or Snake or Nirvana or like there's so many like things that could pull like. A Rifter could easily be high grade snaked, because there's just people would just do it. Whereas in Null, no one in the right mind, or maybe I shouldn't say nobody, but if I see a Rifter, it's just not gonna have a high grade snake pod behind it. It's just there's just too much of a chance you just feed it to to a bubble. So whereas in low sec, it's like anyone could be in pod and. A lot of times, everyone is in a pod.
Yeah, the prevalence of snakes has made me tempted to like buy a real snake pod, but A, I'm not confident in my ability to not feed it, and B, I don't have cybernetics 5, so that's been a good way to prevent myself from.
That's actually like, oh my god.
Yeah, maybe I should just extract cybernetics 5, just to keep this temptation away from me.
I've definitely converted into a snake pilot. It's very rare that I'm in low sec, that I'm not in mid grade snakes.
Yeah, it's hard especially the area we're in. It's like within 20 seconds of starting a fight, you're getting rammed by like 6 destroyers and frigates and cruisers and stuff. So if you're not fast, you just die.
Yeah, and
Like, even if you,
I went clean pod more often, but there's been just too many times I've had like, like a Rifter, like burn like 6k, and I'm just like, oh come on, dude, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was getting chased by an Osprey that was doing like 5k the other day. I was like, man, this sucks.
Nice. So maybe really we should be happy about the Proteuses, Maybe they're like
true.
an integral part of the ecosystem of LoSec. They're like doing
Yeah.
they're doing an important job. It's like the starfish, you know. It's like
Yeah.
it's ugly. You don't like to see it, but it's doing an important job.
Oh, that is very profound.
Yes, thank you. I try my best.
Yeah.
All right. In any case, we've kind of gone through all our VRs. Thank you very much, Still and Hui, for coming to our podcast. And thanks everyone for out there for listening and enjoying another episode of Nanogangers Anonymous. We've been Natalie, Rex, and Lawrence as your hosts. And again, as always, we'll be distributing across a couple of platforms, and Rex, I think you'll be getting out our YouTube video shortly. But
Yes,
if
absolutely.
you have any cool BRs you'd like to talk about, either big fails or big wins, feel free to send them in.
Yeah. Also, if you guys have any questions or any suggestions, we are not very experienced in the podcast game, so send us an email at our main characters and Eve if you have any input or any questions, and we will make sure you get back to you. Thank you for listening so much. It really means a lot to us.
Oh, I almost forgot. I should note, Still and Hui, do you guys have any shout-outs you would like to give? Anything you want to advertise, we'll put them in the description as a thank you for coming on.
I don't think so. I mean,
Shout out Khan and the Sir, I guess.
gotta shout out
Four
Kante and Sir.
Four homies, dude.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. We fly with those guys all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say in the past 6 months or so, I've flown with maybe 4 or 5 different pilots on the regular, and it's been Huey, Khan, Asura, Sralik here and there, and that's kind of it. And it's been great.
Yeah.
I usually keep my circle kind of small, and
Shout out Outcast.
I gotta find some people who are willing to put up with my feeding, you know.
Yeah, shout out the feeders also,
Definitely.
dude. We trade one for one. One Vargar for one Caracal. We do that any day of the week.
There you
Come
go.
join.
Oh yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, have a good one, everybody.
All right. Yeah. Thank you
too.
for listening.
Thanks
you
for having
guys.
us.